Today, dogs sleep on our couches. They steal our food. They stare at us like they know exactly what we are thinking. But imagine a much older scene. No houses, no farms, no dog beds. Just a fire, a cold night, and a wolf-like animal sitting close to humans. At first, that animal seems useful. It can help you hunt. It can warn you in the dark. It can smell things before you ever see them. So maybe the answer is simple. Maybe early dogs were just tools. But then archaeologists found something strange. Some ancient dogs were not treated like simple tools. Some were buried beside humans, and one young dog may have been cared for when it was too sick to be useful. So the real question is not just did ancient humans have dogs? The question is, did ancient humans love their dogs? Were they tools or friends? To answer that, we first have to go back before farms, before cities, before anyone wrote down a single dog name. For a long time, one problem made this story difficult. Early dogs and wolves can look very similar in old bones. A skull or tooth does not always give a clean answer. That is why ancient DNA matters. Recent DNA research identified very old dog remains from places like Pınarbaşı in Turkey. One is around 15,800 years old. Another comes from Goff's Cave in the UK, around 14,300 years ago. That does not mean dogs began in exactly those places. The origin story is still debated. But it does tell us something big. Dogs were already living in the world of hunter-gatherers. This was before agriculture, before sheep pens, before village life, before the kind of pet ownership we know today. And by at least about 14,300 years ago, dogs seem to have been spread across parts of Europe and Anatolia. So this was not just one weird camp with one friendly wolf. Dogs were becoming part of human life. But being part of human life does not automatically mean being loved. A spear is part of human life. A knife is part of human life. A warm fur blanket is part of human life. Useful things can matter a lot, but they are still tools, and early dogs were probably very useful. They could help people notice danger. They could help during hunts. In some hunter-gatherer societies, dogs can carry things, protect camps, or help people move through difficult places. So if an Ice Age human kept a dog close, we should not imagine a modern pet first. We should imagine survival, a cold camp, a long hunt, a sound in the dark, a nose that catches a smell before any human can. That is the tool side of the story. But then comes the friend side. One of the most important clues comes from a site in Germany called Bonn-Oberkassel. There, researchers found the remains of a dog buried with two adult humans and grave objects. The burial is about 14,200 years old. That alone is interesting. A dog was not just thrown away after death, it was placed in a human burial. But the story gets more personal. Researchers later took another look at the dog's remains. They argued that it was a young dog and that it had signs of a serious illness, probably distemper. In simple terms, this dog may have been very sick for part of its life, and the researchers argued that surviving that illness would have been unlikely without close human help. Think about what that means. A sick young dog cannot hunt well. It cannot guard well. It cannot earn its place by being strong. If people kept it alive anyway, then it was not useful in the simple way a tool is useful. Now we have to be careful. Bones cannot tell us exactly what someone felt. They cannot say, this person loved this dog. But they can show care. They can show effort. They can show that an animal was treated differently from ordinary waste, ordinary prey, or ordinary tools. That is why this case is so powerful. It does not prove modern love, but it makes the tool-only answer feel too small. And Bonn-Oberkassel is not the only clue. Researchers who study dog-human burials have found that dogs and people were sometimes buried together across many periods. Those burials did not all mean the same thing. Some may have been ritual, some may have had spiritual meaning, some may even involve sacrifice. So we should not turn every burial into a cute story. But the pattern still matters. Sometimes dogs were brought into the human world of death, memory, and meaning. That is a very different place from a simple tool rack. There is also a later famous example from Natufian sites in the Near East. At Bin Malaha, also known as Ainan, researchers described a puppy buried with a human. They interpreted it as a sign of a close relationship between humans and dogs or dog-like canids. Again, this does not mean every ancient person had a pet puppy, but it gives us another picture, a human body, a small canid, and a burial that feels strangely intimate, even after thousands of years. So what were these animals? Were they pets, workers, guards, hunting partners, symbols, friends? The answer may be yes to several of those at once. Modern people like clean labels. This is a pet, this is a tool, this is family, this is work. But ancient life may not have separated those things so neatly. A dog could help you hunt in the morning. It could sleep near the fire at night. It could warm the camp. It could share food scraps. It could make people laugh. It could become familiar. It could become missed. And once an animal lives close to humans for long enough, something changes. It is no longer just that animal out there. It becomes part of the camp, part of the routine, part of the story people tell about who belongs near the fire. So did ancient humans love their dogs. Not exactly like we love dogs today. They did not have dog parks, squeaky toys, or birthday hats. And we should not pretend we can read Ice Age minds from bones. But the evidence points to something deeper than simple usefulness. By the end of the Ice Age, some dogs were already living with hunter-gatherers. Some were buried beside humans, and at least one young dog may have received care even when it was sick and not very useful. So the best answer is this. Early dogs were probably not pets in the modern sense, but some of them may have been much more than tools. They may have been helpers, campmates, symbols, maybe even friends. And that means the bond between humans and dogs may be one of the oldest emotional partnerships in our story. Which raises an even stranger question. If humans could start caring for dogs so long ago, what other modern feelings are much older than we think?